Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyse the astrological charts of public figures. Very often they are celebrities like singers, dancers, actors, artists, musicians. Sometimes I do like politicians, sometimes even serial killers, murderers. But today, something a little bit more light, a little bit more fluffy, because I am so sick of the Diddy content and the Menendez content. I'll get back to it at some point, but I need a palate cleanser. So it's still dark though, because no matter what I do, no matter what subject I choose, there's always going to be a bit of darkness, but this one's just a little less severe. I'll be analysing the chart, the Synastry chart of two senior members of the British royal family, and they are the late Princess Diana, the former Princess of Wales, and her ex-husband, Prince Charles, who is now, of course, King Charles III. So this has been requested for quite a while. I recently put out, just a couple of weeks ago, I put out a reading for Diana and Camilla, looking at their frenemyship, and today I wanted to have a look at the chemistry between her and Charles, because it was good for us. It was a short period of time, but it was good for a little while, and there must have been some kind of spark or attraction between them, but they were overall pretty ill-matched. Like, you can even see in their moon placements, their Venus placements. I mean, their suns are trining, they're in trine signs, but that's not enough. Like, if you've got a misalignment of values and a misalignment of emotions, then the relationship's going to be difficult, and that's what they have. They were married for like 15 or 16 years, and for more than half of the time they were together, they were separate. They were separated, or they were having affairs with other people. Charles started it. I don't want to hear about how Diana was also cheating, because Diana was looking for love, and Charles was the love of her life, but he never loved her back. And the sad thing, that's the saddest thing, is that the whole world loved her, but the one person that she wanted love from, she couldn't get, so it's a very tragic love story. I think even up to the day she died, she wanted to get back with Charles. Like, she was willing to forgive him, but no, too much damage. That Martin Bashir interview. Oh, Diana, her Aquarius moon got her into all sorts of trouble. Anyway, before we dive in, I want you guys to know I do readings. I do 15-minute MP3 readings. Those are for Synastry readings, full chart readings, and transits. Those are 15-minute readings. And then I do smaller ones. I do 5-minute focused readings. So if you've got a specific situation in your life and you would like some insight on it using your chart, or a specific area of your chart you would like me to talk about, that might be for you, the 5-minute ones. It's the best way to support me, is to get an MP3 reading. Another way to do it is to join my YouTube members. I put out videos upon your request. I do Q&As, I answer your questions, and it financially supports me. It keeps my lights on. So thank you so much for those that are supporting me. If you can't purchase anything, that's fine. Please like, subscribe, comment, help me with the algorithm. I really appreciate it. Keep it kind in the comments. There have been a few people lately that I'm like eyeing you down with my fucking Scorpio eyes. My Scorpio rising has clocked you, and you'll get blocked. So I don't respond to people who are garbage. So I'm just going to delete you. Keep it nice in the comments, or I'll send a demon after you. Anyway, moving on. Thank you to the rest of you who are lovely people. So let's dive in and have a look at the synastry of Charles and Diana. So as you can see, Diana's the inner ring, the blue planets, and Charles is the outer ring and red planets. So you can see here that Diana is a Sun and Mercury in Cancer. She's got a Mars here in Virgo. She has a Sag rising. Her moon is in Aquarius. Her Venus is in Taurus. And Charles is poor little dolt with Chiron so close there. He's a poor little wounded Scorpio Sun and Mercury. He has a Libra Venus in that conjunction with Neptune. Oof. He has a Leo rising right there in Diana's 8th house, and he has a Taurus moon with the North Node. And have I missed anything? Oh, a Sagittarius Mars, which sits right on Diana's ascendant. So those are their placements. Let's go to the next slide so we can chunk up this chart and go through it in sections. So the IC-MC conjunction, where public and private life meet, this is not unusual for a public couple. William and Kate actually have this, and that's actually a really good dynamic in terms of like public, like in terms of public appearance. Like this is royal families, their private life, I mean, they have a private life. They are quite secretive, but they're also not. They're still public figures. So they have it's a very delicate balance of public and private life. And, you know, this is best exemplified in the conjunctions of the midheaven and the IC, you know, the MC and the IC. So the MC, you can see Diana has a midheaven in Libra, which speaks to her being a diplomat. She's got no real strong Libra placements up here, which explains why she lacked a career before she was a child, before she met Charles. But she wasn't really a career-focused person. I think she always knew in her heart that she would marry well, as an aristocrat girl does. And if you watch the documentaries, you listen to her tapes that she made, she talks about how she wasn't really interested in career, that she always knew she would have to keep herself clean because she knew she would marry someone of prominence, like a diplomat. But she married the biggest diplomat there was, you know, the future king of England. And she herself would be a diplomat. And that makes a lot of sense with a Libra midheaven. Libra is the sign of diplomacy, the diplomat working in cooperation with others, partnership. So she essentially married into fame. Had she not married into fame, had she not had Prince Charles's Venus and Neptune sitting on her midheaven like a halo, she wouldn't have been this mysterious person. She probably, maybe she literally would have married a diplomat and had a relatively, you know, easier life, a bit more of a normal life. But megastardom, she married into megastardom. That was always meant to be, right? Being in association with Charles was going to get her public attention. So even though he has very private planets, his Venus with the Neptune conjunction in the IC, he's got secret relationships and he lies about it, is sitting on her midheaven. So being in association with him is going to light up her midheaven like a fucking Christmas tree. It makes a lot of sense. It's also awkward for him because her midheaven is making his Venus public as well. He's got a private Venus. He doesn't like people in his business. He's a very private Scorpio man with a very private Libra Venus and lots of secretive kind of. With his relationships there. He has a lot of affairs. I mean, we know Camilla's the main one, but he had others, and to have her midheavens in the same sign as his Venus and Neptune, she's going to draw attention to his deceit, if he has been deceitful, which he was. His deceit, his lies, his secret relationships, she's going to point those out. So it is very uncomfortable, but at the same time, you know, if it wasn't for their marriage, had she never got married to Charles, we wouldn't have Princess Diana. And for that, we have to be grateful, right? So it's very frustrating because I get why Charles had a hard time with her. It's because she kind of stole his glory, not on purpose. It's just something that she had. She walked with a halo around her wherever she went, you know, and he became the supporting character. So yeah, but yeah, basically his private romantic placements, his Venus, and Venus governs Libra. His Venus, his Neptune, is going to give her a career, essentially, give her a public image. So it's in association that she married into fame. She married into the family business. And that's what she wanted. I don't think she realized what she was doing at the age of, 18, 19, 20. But yeah, it turned into a nightmare. Neptune does that. Neptune is heaven, but it's also hell. It's fantasy and it's a nightmare. And she got all of that. And if you look also here, her 11th house, which is the colleagues and the network and the internet and the tabloids, if the 10th house, the MC, is your work, is your public image, then the 11th house are the associations that you make through that work. So her 11th house is in Scorpio, and then she's got Charles has his sun lighting up that 11th house as well. So it's through her marriage to him, her association with him, that she makes others associate associates, she makes more friends, she makes more acquaintances, and being with him increased her popularity. Okay, so and that also would have been very frustrating for him. She has Neptune here in the 10th playing into the 11th here. So she was born to be humanitarian. This is not a political placement. I'm like, politics played a bit into it. I mean, it's royalty. They say they're not political, but they really are. They pay off a lot of MPs. Anyway, so she was always going to be, whether or not she became famous, she was always going to be helping children, helping animals, like that kind of, she's got that kind of energy, like she cares about humanity. And having Charles's Mercury, Sun up here, it makes her, it gives her more courage, it gives her more visibility, it gives her more connections. So, yeah, she got a lot from this marriage. Not necessarily the man. She didn't get the man. Well, she married him, but she didn't truly get his heart. But she got the perks. She got the perks that came with the job of being married to him. So, yeah, through him, she got a lot of attention, you know. And it's true, she wouldn't have been famous without him. Facts, you know. Achieving destiny, Charles's moon and north node in Diana's 4th and 5th house. There was a bit of a malfunction with my keyboard when I know that's not right. My punctuation's a bit off in this one, but it wasn't my fault. My keyboard malfunctioned. So achieving destiny, Charles's moon and north node in Diana's 4th and 5th house. Fourth and fifth house is like children, family. 4th house is literally family. 5th house is children, the things that are produced from a relationship. She helped him get there. You know, she also has Vesta. Her Venus is nice and clean. She has a good clean Venus. I like that. There's no Lilith here. There's no fuck shit here. What she wanted, her values were very traditional. She wanted to get married and she wanted to have children and she wanted to have nice hair and nice clothes and nice shoes. And yeah, that's a Venus in Taurus. They love nice shit. She knew how to dress. Very early on when she looked like a puffy pink pastry. Do you remember in the early days, she was like a puffy pink pastry. She had the like big shoulder pads and like very 80s, very, very, very early on. It looks a bit awkward, but it's still like, she still looked gorgeous, you know? But yeah, it speaks to that Venus in Taurus. She got more sleek as she got older. But she just wanted something simple. I think she married for love, which is very Venusian of her. Yes, she married for love, but she also married because she wanted a nicer life with nicer things, and that's okay, right? But she wanted something that worked, something that was practical. Venus and Taurus wants all the glamour and wants all the romance, but also wants it to work. So I think she was aiming very, very high here. Her Venus notably is in his 11th house, right? So she also, by being together, she opens up his 11th house. I think she told him to get on that magic carpet ride, and she showed him the world as well with this. So I think the sun is a bit more powerful and a bit more harsh with that because there's a Neptunian influence up there. But certainly having her Venus in his 11th house made him more popular too. Like if you watch all the videos when they first got married, everybody was congratulating him, like, wow, good work, you got a nice princess there. Like she, for a while, she made him look good. So, yeah. His moon is in Taurus with the north node. So, of course, that makes a lot of sense because his death, and it's so funny because he became king on his nodal return. Literally. It's wild. He got crowned right on his nodal return. But his north node conjunct the moon is like following the line of the mother, taking the crown from his mother. That makes a lot of sense here. I know that the Venus is not in the same sign as the moon, but that's a nice synastry, even though they're pretty far apart. There is an alignment somewhat of her value systems and her desires and her attraction and his emotional nature. And I think they found at some point in their marriage found comfort in each other, right? I think I think she liked how sensitive he was. And, you know, a moon in Taurus is exalted. And I think there is a simplicity. He's a complex man, but in terms of like his emotions, there's a stability there that she found very attractive for a time. And so this is actually very, very nice. And she's got Ceres and Vesta here. You know, Ceres is it's a nurturing asteroid. Vesta is safety. And I know that when they first, it wasn't when they first met, but when they first really romantically connected, it was when he was grieving the loss of, what was that dickhead's name? His uncle, his godfather. He was murdered by the IRA. Who was that bitch? Put it in the comments if you remember his name. Anyway, someone died, and he was upset about it, and she comforted him. And she was very gentle with him, and he appreciated that and could see how loving and nurturing she was. And I think he liked that in that moment, that little bubble of grief he was in, he liked that she could handle it and offer him some stability. Because Taurus is a stable sign, and these are pretty stable placements. There's nothing really bad here. I would say, that's not a conjunction. Like, they're pretty far apart. Like, it's not comfortable enough for me to say this is the most perfect synastry, but it's nice, right? And having her, like, I said that most Australian way, nice with a no. Her Venus, her Vesta, her Ceres, these very safe, loving energies are very close to that North Node, and it's through that they produced children together. It's because of her that he actually was able to continue a legacy. Because of her. The comfort, the love, and the legacy. That's all there, you know? And also popularity. He got that for a while from her. She could also disgrace him, and she did that. But anyway, that's another time. That's for another slide. And certainly having his moon in her 4th house, he felt like home. It's not in Aries. I think that might actually be a good thing, because she came from an Aries household where the mum and dad were like slapping each other around. Certainly her dad slapped around her mum. Like, very volatile family. Aries on the IC is not easy. It's war at home. It's peace on the midheaven and war in the home. Like, yeah, it's peace at work and war at home with that midheaven IC combination. So I think it's actually good he didn't have an Aries moon, because that would have been worse. All right, fairy tale wedding and a difficult marriage. So Diana, Saturn, Jupiter, and Moon in Charles' 7th house. So disappointing husband. Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde. Daddy problems and father problems are one and the same. And she married, you know what's really interesting? She married a man that was just like her dad. Her mother and her father have pretty much the same age difference as Diana and Charles. Literally history repeating itself. Like, this whole thing, this story of Charles and Diana is not the first time. Go watch a documentary on Diana's parents. It was festy. It's the same shit, the same age difference, the same problems. So yeah. Certainly with Jupiter on his descendant, she brings abundance there. Her moon is in his 7th house, and naturally your 7th house is what you're not. It's what you gravitate to in a partner. So he's attracted to this Aquarius energy. She has a moon in Aquarius. She has a Jupiter in Aquarius. Having those 2 planets in the same sign gives her a very generous spirit. However, it is an unstable sign. And we love our Aquarian people. I love my Aquarian friends, but you are literally the sign of chaos. You are agents of chaos, and that's what she brought to him. You know, she was incredibly needy as well. And having this here, I mean, it's a good synastry. That Jupiter is retrograde, so I'm kind of like about that. I think she was quite demanding. I think that is true. And she wanted very simple things that he wasn't able to give, because he just grew up in a very fucked up environment. She wanted him to share. She, like, the 7th house is about sharing, and if he's a very self-involved person, and didn't understand what that was. He's a king. Everything's given to him. He doesn't have to give anything. And when someone has placements in your 7th house, it requires you to share. And he just wasn't. So, but generally, like, this would be considered a nice synastry. His Lilith is on her Chiron. Yeah. You don't want something malefic on your Chiron. You don't want a Mars. Ideally, you don't want a Sun. Sometimes it happens. But you certainly don't want a Lilith on there. The fuck? Oh, I need to think that through because that's messy. That's messy. We'll look at it when we see the whole chart. I might get back to that. That's just because Chiron is where you're wounded. And where is she wounded? She's wounded in her second house, her third house. So, yeah, I'd count that as third house. She's not wounded with money. She's wounded in terms of her relationships with others. She's wounded because the third house, it's intellectual. And he always thought he was smarter than her. Because if you got Chiron on the third house, you might have learning issues. I think Diana, I don't want to, she was a very intelligent woman. I think a very instinctive, emotionally intelligent woman, but she wasn't an intellectual and she didn't like school that much. And that Chiron playing into the third could be her dysfunction at school, her difficulty at school. And his Lilith is sitting on there, and I know that he always felt superior to her because he was an intellectual and he actually did very well at school. So that would have pressed on her wound a lot. He made fun of her. I don't know if he made a comment about it for sure, trying to get her to read books. Someone's messaging me. Never mind. I'll get back to that later. Chaotic, unequal partnership. Charles's Uranus in Diana's 7th house. Well, he gives her chaos. Okay, so if someone's Uranus sits on your placements like this, they're going to bring you chaos. Like, it doesn't mean they intentionally do that. I don't think he married her thinking, I'm going to fuck up this 19-year-old's life. I don't think he thought like that. But Uranus is a planet that represents society and it's public, so like think the internet, newspapers and magazines, technology, like humanity, right? If someone's Uranus sits on your placements, they're going to cause disruption. Certainly he brought a lot of popularity to her because he made her famous, but it brought her a lot of grief because Cancer doesn't want chaos. Cancer wants something to hold on to. They're looking for a life raft. Cancers are looking for a life raft. They are not looking to be electrocuted by Uranus, and certainly having Uranus in her 7th house opened up doors for her. Like, again, like just more, her 7th house became a revolving door of people, a lot of associates. But it is so close to that Mercury and that Sun, very sensitive placements, that it was exhausting. It's very exhausting. She was a shy person. She knew how to put on a show, and I think to a certain degree, she liked dressing up and looking pretty. I think she enjoyed that. I think she enjoyed that the world thought she was beautiful, and there was a part of her that liked that, but that's also very exhausting. So yeah, this is not easy, and the intrusion. She had there's so much intrusion here with this Uranus. So in association with him, her life was severely disrupted and she could never catch a breath. So yeah, it's a chaotic and unequal partnership because her moon lies in his 7th. She's asking, please share your life with me, be partners with me. His Uranus sits in her 7th house and it's saying give everything. Like, she kind of did. She's a 7th house, 8th houser, so she's naturally going to do that. He's not like that. She's more giving than he is. That's so demanding. A difficult destiny. Are we about to get into the conspiracy theories? Her North Node is in the 8th house, and 8th house is marriage, sex, death, legacy, all of that. Certainly with Pluto and Uranus here, she was destined to leave a legacy, not just in like a financial legacy, like money. She left money to her children, the jewelry, all of that, everything. She left her worldly possessions, but she left behind a law. She left behind something that was bigger than her mortal life. And that's the legend. She left behind the lore, the legend, the mystique, the mystery. Like, her story is like Cinderella gone wrong. It's a Greek fucking tragedy. Like, that's the thing that she left behind. She has become an icon. And her Mars is also hit, guys. Don't get paranoid. But Mars, Uranus, like, I do believe the stories about her having a very hot temper. I mean, her Mars, those baby boomers with that Mars and Pluto and Uranus conjunction, you got crazy ass tempers. And very, it's chaotic. It's, what's the word I'm looking for? She just do things. She just do chaotic things at the drop of a hat, you know, and that got her into a lot of trouble. The affair at the end of her life, the love affair that she had with what's his name, with Dodie, was hella reckless. She's hella reckless, sexually very, very reckless. And that got her into a lot of trouble. His Saturn, Charles's Saturn sits on that Pluto, sits on that Mars-Pluto conjunction, teaching her a lesson, giving her karma. Being with him was very restrictive. If someone's Saturn sits on your Mars, and remember, Mars is your penis. Mars is your masculine energy, right? It's your free will. It's the fire in your belly. That person's Saturn sitting on your Mars, they're going to try and put out that fire. They're going to punish you for your bad deeds if they feel like you have been. They're going to, they're going to stamp out the fire in your belly. And that's what he did. Lilith is also here as well, and Lilith is like the doomed wife, like the angry wife. So, and that's all in the 8th house. She was an angry wife, and she died a very sad, sudden death, and it may have been caused. It might have been on purpose. I won't lie to you. This thing in her chart is screaming assassination. But whatever. I'm just an astrologer. Whatever. I know he's dead now. Muhammad Ifayed was a piece of shit abuser, but that doesn't mean he was wrong, because that documentary that he made had some very compelling evidence. So I'm just gonna put it out there. Go watch it. What's it called? Unlawful killing. And that's what the judge said it was when they did the inquest, is that it was an unlawful killing. That someone was responsible for her death, but they didn't know who it was. Who were those men on the motorcycles? And they weren't paparazzi. Anyway, go check it out. But yeah, being with him was like a prison. His Saturn sits on her Mars. Even during the relationship, being with him was a prison. If she showed emotion, she was being crazy, which would have made her even more crazy. She got a chaotic Mars placement. Anyway, her legacy is that she's the queen of all our hearts. So yeah, I think that there was love there. I think on his side it was affection for Diana. On her end it was true love. Like, that was her first ever. That was her first everything. That was her. I don't know if it was her first kiss, but it certainly was her first, lover. Her first and only husband. Like, he was her first. He had a whole life before he ever met her, and it was just such an unfair, unequal pairing. And their Venuses don't align. I know their Venuses are in Venusian signs. You think that would be good, but you got to remember they're in an inconjunct. His Venus is in Libra. Her Venus is in Taurus. She's looking for something more solid. I think with his Venus in Libra, he had a lot of lovers, and I think he had an agreement. He had an agreement with Camilla. He was with other lovers while he was with Camilla as well. So it's not in alignment. He doesn't have a solid Venus. His Venus is with Neptune. Like, he loves with no boundaries. Yeah. He loves with no boundaries. That's a bit of a problem. She wanted boundaries. She wanted a Venus and Taurus relationship. I want something that works. And he's incredibly impractical with that Neptune conjunction, So yeah, misalignment of values, misalignment of desires, a misalignment of emotions. Like, she's an Aquarius an Aquarius moon. He's a Taurus moon. So she's a little bit too emotionally chaotic for him. Like, she doesn't know how to process her feelings in a way that would feel safe or stable for him. I think he felt emotionally he didn't feel safe. He didn't feel emotionally safe with her later on in that marriage, but that's only because she was in an environment that was toxic. So there's a lot going on here. You got to remember, she also has her moon and Venus are squared up. So she has a lot of issues with intimacy, and a lot of trauma that's connected to her mother, and her father, and that's why it was hard for her to be in this marriage. Go check out the relationship, her parents' relationship, because it mirrors her and Charles. Charles is just like her father. That's why she never really let go, even to the day she died. Now I've got to get a better look at this. Because we're talking about the third house with Chiron, so yeah, that's the insecurities around her intellectuality. She was smart, though. She was a very smart woman, just not in the bookish sense. In all the other ways, she was intelligent, just not in schools, and that's okay. She does have her Pallas Athena here with Juno. Juno's like, and it's in a humanitarian sign, because she's got a water sign, an emotional sign, on the cusp of an intellectual house, which is really interesting. It's an air house. When you have a water sign in an intellectual house, emotion and thinking and emotions are very intertwined. So I think that's where the emotional intelligence comes from. Even though she's got Chiron here, so that's the insecurity about being stupid, which she wasn't. Her Pallas Athena, that's the genius. The genius is in her third house in Pisces, and that's the genius with people, with the humanitarian work, with like her touch could heal people. It's giving saint energy. She even has, and I think I talked about in her because I did her chart reading before, she has a Neptune trine the sun, and that's a saint energy. That's the halo around the head energy. She's got, like, she was a living saint, right? And now she's an icon. She should be ordained. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, if you can, please support me. I do purchase a reading if you can, if you would like that. And then I also have my YouTube members. I'll be making more content for that very soon. And yeah, in the comments, tell me what synastry you would like next. I'd really, really appreciate it. And much love to all of you, and see you in the next video. Bye.